Hello, it's Giselle and Becoming One, Day 28, The Man in the Mirror. I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I'm asking if he'll change his ways. And no message could have been any clearer. If you want to make the world a better change, take a look at yourself and then make that change. Na 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 na. Oh, whoa. Well, we all know that it can sometimes be a little bit more difficult than it seems. So it's still worth the effort. To start with the man in the mirror means that we take accountability for ourselves and for our output. Why would we do this? Because when we look at the world and we have our experiences that are painful, sometimes we have an awareness that comes that we don't like suffering. And therefore, if we don't like suffering, we wouldn't want to cause that suffering to anybody else. So by working on the one person that you can actually make an impact with and that you can actually change, that you are able to change without anybody else's permission, then we become the change that we wish to see in the world. And therefore, what that means is that then we are able to have a ripple effect and to affect more positive change in the world around us just by being who we are. And then also by being able to help others. How do we do this? Because it can be a tricky thing. You know, what happens is that normally what the mass amount of people tend to do is they tend to blame the other person. Or for those people who are like experiencing depression and any other kind of the low state mental illnesses and like autoimmune diseases and stuff like that, fibromyalgia. Oftentimes that what happens is people end up blaming themselves. So on the one hand, you've got blaming others, and on the other hand, you've got blaming yourself. Both are blame. So there's this straight and narrow path that goes down the middle between both of them, between blaming another and blaming yourself, because you should treat your neighbor like unto yourself. That means you're equal. So that means by taking that path down the straight and narrow, in between them, on that razor's edge, on the apex of the mountain, we're then able to step into a new place where we're able to see things objectively. And it's hopefully by seeing things objectively that we can do this. And I know some people might be thinking that this is complex, but basically you think about the fact that I feel like blaming somebody else. It's somebody else's fault. That's like judgment and victimization because it's their fault. They've hurt you. To blame yourself is another form. That's to blame yourself is like is martyrdom. Okay, so to take the world's problems on as your responsibility for everything, that's just as bad as blaming the world. So therefore, you walk down that path that doesn't blame anybody else and it doesn't blame yourself. It shows compassion and awareness. And by walking that path, we're able to usually unpick the lesson in that experience to gain greater clarity and we're able to stop the chain of pain. Because what happens is one person experiences pain or a mind virus, and then they pass it on to the people around them. But if we can then instead recognize what's going on and step through with honesty and integrity, we can speak clearly when that's necessary, and we can just let it fall aside when it just simply needs compassion for healing, witnessing to be able to see it. So what happens if we don't do this? Well, I know some people are thinking, well, what do I care? And basically what happens is we're maintaining the status quo if we don't care. If we don't care enough to do something. And if we look around at the world and we see these problems and we just sort of decide to be complacent and not bother about doing anything about them, then what we're doing is we're becoming a part of the problem. So what happens if we do choose to do something about it? Then we're able to affect real positive change to create the world that we want. And we are able to create a world of peace. First, it begins within, and then we can create it without. So it's a choice. Do we want war or do we want peace? It's a choice. So for war, choose blame. For peace, choose love. When should we do this? Do we want to wait for another millennia? Do we want to wait until next year when we realize that we're still going around and around and around in the same cycles? Or do we want it now? So I'm putting out a call of action, and I am asking for you to step up and for you to start to notice that the guy next to you is in pain. And in order to stop the pain of the guy next to you, you have to stop your own pain. And if you're in pain, in order to stop your pain, you have to stop the pain of the guy next to you. That means you stop passing around the parcel of pain. Break the chain. Break the cycle of abuse. And choose love. Start with the man in the mirror. Start with the one person that you have any kind of true agency, will, or power, or choice to do anything about. And begin with you. Begin inside. Success is deciding. I love you. Have a great day.